Hi, and welcome back to my channel. Today, we are doing a new subreddit called r/AmItheDevil. So these are taken from other subreddits and posted here where it is obvious that the OP is the devil. And I saw this on YouTube, and I thought that it would be an interesting dive. So let's dive in with a couple of stories, and we'll find out if we like this. So let's go. Jump right into our story. So this was cross-posted and given a new title called "Why Won't They Coddle Me?" The original title was "Am I the Jerk for Pointing Out That My Housemates Are Snubbing and Excluding Me?" Here's the story. I, 24 female, recently moved into a house with two of my very close friends, Amber, 27, and Jessica, 27, both of them females. My childhood was pretty messed up, and it turns out I have ASD. I am also diabetic. So I have tons of food aversions. I can't eat spicy or starchy food, etc. Okay, so there are a lot of people that can't eat, that don't eat spicy or starchy food and, have food aversions. And, it doesn't have to mean that they're diabetic or have ASD, but thank you for telling us that. We usually take turns making dinner, but I noticed that they are still making unhealthy, spicy, starchy food. Okay, there's a lot of food that's unhealthy, but it doesn't have to be spicy and starchy. I can see where you're kind of leading this conversation to make it sound like they're doing this on purpose. I told them about my condition. To be fair, they didn't know I was a diabetic since I never mentioned it. I'm also not on meds for it. Why are you not on medication for your diabetes? What? But I am medicated for my autism, depression, and anxiety. We tried eating more healthy, but a few weeks in, they were back to their old cooking habits. I brought up diet again, and Amber said she always let me know beforehand what she makes so that I can buy something additionally or make my own food if I don't want to have her food. She does, but since we all contribute to the groceries, this just doesn't seem fair. Why? Because you don't want to cook? Jessica also said they can't eat my food because the fiber content is too high and it messes with their GI tract. Makes sense. In short, they wanted to keep with saying that they're planning to make what they're planning to make for dinner ahead of time so that I can make a plan if I'm not feeling it. Jessica suggested splitting groceries between myself, Amber, and her, but I feel like that's just making the decision worse. I also feel that this is unfair because we used to be really close at uni. We did most things together. I noticed that whenever I get home, I usually get home later than the two of them, they just stay in their room and don't socialize much. They act like strangers and it makes me feel unwelcome and snubbed. They countered by saying that they're both introverts and just like doing their own thing. Amber games and Jessica gardens. I tried involving myself a bit with Amber's gaming and asked if I could watch her play. She bluntly told me if she wants to socialize, she'll come and get me, but that she wants to be left alone at home to recharge. Jessica likes gardening, so I tried involving myself there. I have a boyfriend who's really good at irrigation and wanted to ask me to help set up an irrigation system for Jessica. She lost it on me and told me it's her garden, not my boyfriend, and that he can set up an irrigation system for my patch of the garden, but she loves manually watering her plants. I'm just feeling excluded and snubbed, and coming home is causing some major anxiety, which is making me wonder if I did something wrong. So I told them that I'm feeling snubbed and ignored, and they told me that we don't have to do everything together and that I'm being too pushy. Now they're completely ignoring me. It's worse than before. This isn't at all what I imagined living with my friends was like. It's causing me major anxiety. And the jerk. Oh my goodness. Okay. Yeah, okay. So yeah, when we're younger, we have this awesome picture of what living with our friends would be like, and it's gonna be wonderful and sunshine and roses, and we're gonna stay up late with tickle fights and pillow fights and all this other stuff. But yeah, when we grow up and stuff, that's definitely not what it's like. Um, um, we have to grow up, and we learn, and you know, you're in university now, and you've got classes, and maybe they have a job you didn't say. Maybe they have a job that they have to do too. Um, all that stuff takes a toll on you, and you're tired when you get home, and you just want to. I mean, especially if they're introverts, they just want to be left alone, and there's nothing wrong with that. You sound more like you're an extrovert, and you just want to get out and do stuff. Maybe you need to seek out people who are more like you to live with, and there's nothing wrong with that. All right, our next one, the new title is Why Do My Kids Not Want to See Me? The original title, Am I the Jerk for Not Allowing My Son to Go on a Trip with His Mom's Boyfriend? Recently, my 13-year-old son asked if he could miss one of our weekends together. He had been invited by his mom's boyfriend to go with him and his sons to Alaska for a week. Legally, I'm entitled to custody of him every other weekend, and he's my only child that still regularly attends these visits. My oldest two sons, 21 and 19, rarely make the time to see me anymore, and my two daughters, 17 and 15, seem to be busy with their own things, and recently I've only been seeing them every other month. My youngest child is the only one who is normally very happy to spend the weekend with me. I wonder why. I think we're about to find out. Their mom and I separated in 2016, and in early 2021, she started dating her new partner. From my viewpoint, the kids seem to like him, and he also has 4 kids of his own, with 3 different women. I'm glad that you mentioned that, but why did you mention that? Did you have to mention that? My youngest son particularly seems to enjoy spending time with him, and he likes to tell me some of the things they get up to together. I can admit I occasionally feel jealous with him bonding with another man so easily. When my son brought up the trip to Alaska, he told me his mom had agreed to let him go as long as I also allowed it because the trip was scheduled for during one of my weekends. I told him no, for several reasons. Firstly, I do not know the boyfriend all that well and don't feel comfortable leaving my son in his company. I mean, I could understand that. You may argue that my ex does know him well, but I can't 100% trust her judgment in men. So you're saying you don't 100% trust yourself because she chose you too. I'm just saying. I've heard some unsavory things from mutual friends about her boyfriend. Secondly, from what I understand, some parts of the trip could be dangerous and too physically exhausting for my son who isn't used to some of the activities. So they'll stop and rest. My goodness. They'll be hiking, survival camping, white water rafting, and hiking glaciers. Oh my gosh. No thank you for me, but that does sound exciting. This all sounds fun, sure, but also dangerous. Yeah, it is going to be dangerous, but I mean, your wife will be there. It's okay. I worry about him being in situations he could potentially be badly hurt, especially as neither parent will be with him. What do you mean neither parent will be with him? Won't your wife be with him? What? I'm so confused now. Firstly, I hate to say it, but I am legally entitled to this weekend, and he needs to learn he can't just bail on things he committed to because something better came up. Oh, no, If I don't see him that weekend, it will be a whole month before I get to see him again because I doubt his mom will let me rearrange for the next weekend. He was upset but seemed to understand where I was coming from. He sulked for the rest of the day because he went home. His mom texted me asking if I was serious about my decision, and I assured her I was and listed out my reasons for why. She told me I would regret my choice. Oh, yeah, you will. And that I was being a butt to our son. My mom also thinks I might end up regretting this decision. However, I'm confident that he'll quickly get over it. I'm going to make sure my son and I have a great time that weekend, and I'm sure there will be other trips he can go on with that boyfriend in the future with his mom present or when he's older. Oh, no. No. No, you are making a terrible, terrible, terrible decision. Yes, I can understand why you might not trust this boyfriend, but I mean, I don't understand why you're saying that no parent would be there, because isn't your wife going? I mean, I don't think she's gonna leave the boyfriend there by himself with your son. That'd be a little bit odd. But you're making a terrible decision to not let your son go on this trip, because I mean, you've already lost contact with 4 of your children mostly, and making this decision, you are definitely going on the track to losing contact with this one when he turns 18. So I hope that you are okay with that. I hope I'm not right, but I believe that I am, and I'm sorry for that, but you made that decision. So our next story, the first, the retitled title, Abandoning My 4 Minor Kids for 3.5 days. The original title, Am I the Jerk for Grounding My Son Because He Left the Front Door Unlocked? I mean, that sounds a little harsh. My mom had a health scare, so I've been visiting with her last week. Since my 16-year-old son, Jean, has been staying home due to my sprained ankle, I let him babysit his younger brothers, 7, 5, and 3, all male, while I was gone. He's done it before and usually enjoys it, and I rarely ever let him babysit for more than a few hours, so I'm not parentifying him before you guys come at me in the comments. This was more an unusual and unexpected circumstance. It would never be this long if I'd been able to plan beforehand. I checked in every day with Jean to make sure things were going well, and he always assured me things were fine. But when I called him a couple hours before I was due to be home, he didn't answer. I texted him as well, but no response. I was a bit worried, but since I'd called him earlier the day and things seemed fine, I assured maybe he put the younger kids down for a nap and had his phone on silence or something. But when I got in, the first thing I noticed is that the front door was unlocked and no one was downstairs. I almost got full panic mode, but when I got upstairs, I found all my sons are in John's bedroom, and he fell asleep, and the younger kids are just running around playing with his things. I woke him up and asked him why the front door was unlocked. He explained that things were getting too rowdy in the house, so he was playing catch with them in the backyard, and he must have forgotten to lock the door when they came back in because he was chasing them around trying to keep them from throwing the ball at the window. I asked him why he didn't at least check before going to sleep, and he said he meant to just sit down for a few minutes and fell asleep on accident. I was a bit skeptical because my youngest kids usually are really well behaved, but regardless, I told him keeping the front door unlocked is a basic security, and she'd have at least checked once before going upstairs. So I'm grounding him for 3 days. He was pissed off and said I'm overreacting and that he can't do anything right in my book. That's not true. I'm just particularly picky when it comes to my kid's safety, like any parent. So am I the jerk for grounding him? I know he needs some type of punishment, but I can still see where grounding him might be too extreme. Oh, yeah. Yeah, no. Grounding him is way too extreme for just... I mean, I'm not saying that's a little thing. Yeah, leaving the door unlocked is not a little thing, but grounding him for 3 days? 3 days? No, that's way too much. Yeah, no, you're being a jerk. Definitely. And our last story. The new title, Please Be a Troll. Please be a troll. The original title, A person should value their parents' life over their child's life. Yesterday, I, 43 male, told my ex, 22 female, wow, what an age gap, that I love my father way more than our child, who is 10 months old. She and I were together for a year before we split. I wonder why. To be clear, she brought up the topic. I managed to get full custody due to having a stable career and making much higher income, proving to the court that I am more fit to raise a child than her. I'm not too sure about that. She's currently in debt for child support, and after our recent conversation, I'm considering revoking her visitation rights through the court because I don't want her brainwashing my daughter. Holy Jesus, how does this person have full custody of this child? We were talking over the phone, and she told me that despite our relationship being strained, she loves what we created together. She told me that she values our daughter more than anyone else in the world and would be willing to sacrifice anyone and everything for her. She hoped that I felt the same way about our child, but I told her no. She was shocked, but I immediately assured her that our child was still important to me, but not as important to me as my father. I explained to her that this is because my father sacrificed more for me than anyone else in the world in order to raise me, and that there is no one else out there who would be willing to sacrifice as much for me as my father would. As a result, the loyalty that I have toward my father is far greater than the loyalty I have towards my daughter. It's because your daughter is only 10 months old, and in my experience, 10-month-olds can't exactly do much for you. If I was forced into a situation in which I had to choose between taking care of my father and taking care of my daughter, I would take care of my father. When I told her this, we got into a huge argument, and she seemed hurt. I told her to grow up and accept that people should value their parents over anyone else because of the sacrifices they make for us. Oh, okay. I never understood Americans and their weird culture about valuing kids and spouses over their own parents. Assuming you've had good parents, they're irreplaceable. You only have one set of parents. Your kids and spouse, on the other hand, are replaceable. Even if you were to lose one of your kids, you could simply make another. If you were to lose a spouse or partner, you can simply get another. Update, just to be clear, there are many sacrifices I'd be willing to make for my daughter. If I had to give up on a career or a promotion that would make me a lot of money because it would conflict with family interest, I would make that sacrifice. If I had to give my child one of my organs so that they would live, I would make that sacrifice. However, if I had to choose between saving my father's life and saving my child's life, I would save my father's life without hesitation. Here is a scenario. Let's say both my father and my daughter needed a liver to survive. Let's say I was the only one who had a viable match, and I had to choose who to give my liver to. I'd choose my father, not my daughter. I'm not willing to sacrifice my father's life for my daughter. Update 2. A lot of people are saying you're doing the opposite of what your father did because you're not sacrificing everything for your daughter by choosing him. That's not true. It's perfectly possible to make all the necessary sacrifices to raise your kid well while simultaneously valuing your parent's life over your child's. My father made many sacrifices for me, but he never had to choose between saving me and saving his parents like the scenario I gave. My grandparents were capable of taking care of themselves and did not need my father's help up until they died of natural causes in their own home. But if they ever needed my father's organs, I would expect my father to make that sacrifice. Same thing applies to me. I am willing to sacrifice almost anything for my daughter, except for my father's life. Update 3. Another thing I'm hearing a lot of people saying is, your kids don't owe you anything because they didn't ask to be born. It doesn't matter if they asked to be born or not. That doesn't change the fact that they owe their parents everything. Relationships are not based on selfless exchanges. Any relationship should always be based on how much a person is willing to sacrifice for you and how much you are willing to sacrifice for them. In most cases, biological parents will be willing to sacrifice more for you than anyone else in the world. For that reason, you should value them above everyone else and be willing to sacrifice more for them than anyone else, because you know that you can rely on them more than anyone else in the world. Friends, wives, and children are replaceable, but good parents, such as myself and my father, are not replaceable. Conclusion: unlike parents, children are easily replaceable. A person can have 10 different children, but you can only have one father and one mother. The purpose of having kids is so that when they grow up, they'll support and help you. A person's obligation to their parents, assuming they weren't abusive, should be far greater than their obligation to their child and or partner. What did I just read? Now I know why it was retitled. What it was retitled. Oh my gosh. Huh. Okay. It is true that you only have one mother and one father in this life. It is also true that for many people that their spouses can be replaceable. It is also true that for many people they can have many children. I don't like how this OP is trying to weaponize these statements to make his argument, because for a lot of people his argument's not true. It's true for him. It's not true for a lot of people. And I feel really bad for his daughter. And I hope that the mother gets some kind of custody of this child so that if anything were to happen, that she gets the support that she needs from a loving parent. I'm not saying that her father doesn't love her, but he obviously loves his dad more than he loves her. That's what I'm getting from this post, that he would take care of his father way before he would take care of her. And I'm not saying we should not take care of our parents, but there also comes a time when we have to take care of the family that we have created, that is our spouses and our children, and do the best we can to help our parents if we can. And hopefully they'll understand if we can't. But we do the best we can. Just like they did for us when we were growing up. I mean, I think that that's about as eloquent as I can put it. You take care of your own family as your parents continue to get older, and then as they need you, as they get older, you do the best you can to help them, because that's what they did for you as you were growing up. I think that's as eloquently as I can put it. I don't think you put either above the other, quite honestly. I mean, if I could only choose one to save, I don't think I could, because I love my child as much as I love my mom, and as much as I love my grandmother, and as much as I love my sister, and as much as I love my husband. If somebody held a gun to my head and said you have to choose between your mom and your son, I would probably say my son. He's got a little bit more, he's got more life to live. And I think that that's why a lot of people would choose their children, because they've got a little bit more life to live than their parents. And I'm sorry if that hurts somebody's feelings out there, if you're listening, but I think that that's why that they would choose their children. That, and they love their children, a lot. And I do love my mom a lot. And I don't hold anything against her. But yeah, I mean, it would be an impossible decision. But yeah, no, this person is absolutely a jerk for his opinions, and you can love people equally, or mostly equally, and not have this kind of an opinion. But hey, if you liked that video, please like that video. And if you want some more videos like this, please consider subscribing to my channel. Thank you. Bye.